Hello, wonderful viewers. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey of understanding, growth, and awakening to a prosperous life. Every time you watch, engage, and bring your insights into this space, you add so much value. Today, I'm excited to explore a powerful story with you, the story that challenges some conventional ideas around wealth, spirituality, and what it means to truly prosper. Let's dive in with open hearts and minds, understanding that prosperity is a rich tapestry woven from many threads, far beyond what we might first think. I came across a note left by a parishioner after a Sunday service, a note that questioned my teachings about prosperity. This person was clearly skeptical, even sarcastic, writing, "I hadn't realized until you pointed it out that it's the rich people who are the spiritual ones. I guess those slaveholders were on the right track. The only thing wrong was the prosperity consciousness of those slaves." To me, this response showed a common misconception, the idea that material wealth and spirituality are mutually exclusive. This individual seemed to think that wealth inherently comes from exploitation and that poverty equates to humility or goodness. But what if wealth is a result of a different mindset, one aligned with universal laws that invite prosperity in all areas, relationships, health, purpose, and finances? This story challenges us to go deeper than surface-level understandings of wealth and spirituality. Is wealth inherently unspiritual? Are the financially poor automatically spiritually superior? What if true prosperity comes from the alignment of our actions, thoughts, and beliefs with universal principles that foster growth, dignity, and well-being in all areas? Well, consider this idea. Prosperity in all its forms, health, relationships, happiness, and financial abundance, reflects an alignment with certain spiritual laws. These laws are impartial, they don't favor one person over another but respond to our beliefs, choices, and the consciousness we embody. To be clear, this does not mean that every wealthy person is spiritual or that every financially struggling person lacks spirituality. Prosperity is a combination of various factors that must be nurtured holistically. When we understand prosperity in this way, we start to see it as a measure of balance, the harmony between our inner world and outer actions. This inner alignment allows us to manifest abundance in all forms, be it material wealth, vibrant health, meaningful relationships, or a fulfilling vocation. Wealth alone is not the goal, it's merely one piece of the prosperity puzzle. Prosperity consciousness involves self-worth and the belief that we are deserving of abundance in all areas. James Allen, in As a Man Thinketh, touches on the shared responsibility between the oppressed and the oppressor. He notes that both are co-creators in ignorance, lack, and limitation. This perspective is powerful because it reminds us that prosperity is, at its core, a choice. When we are unaware of this choice or feel unworthy, we unconsciously reinforce limitation in our lives, blaming external factors without realizing that change must start within. This concept asks each of us to shift our perspective. Are we waiting for external circumstances to improve, or are we taking responsibility for our lives, making choices that uplift and empower us? Embracing prosperity consciousness does not mean disregarding challenges or inequalities, but it does mean taking back our power by focusing on what we can control, our mindset, actions, and beliefs. It's easy to fall into the trap of victim consciousness, especially in a world that sometimes glorifies suffering as a badge of spiritual purity. But true spiritual prosperity doesn't arise from lack, it's born from abundance in all areas. We often hear that poverty is spiritual, that the meek shall inherit the earth, or that those with money must have compromised their morals. But is this really true? When we believe that it is somehow noble to lack or that our worthiness is dependent on our suffering, we prevent ourselves from stepping into the full potential that our Creator offers us. Instead, let's understand that each of us has the capacity for greatness, for prosperity, and for joy. True spiritual growth involves embracing this potential, not shunning it. One essential truth to remember is that genuine prosperity stems from value creation. Prosperous people don't achieve wealth by hoarding or exploiting, they do so by adding real value to others' lives. Think of it like a garden, you reap what you sow. People who are prosperous contribute value to the world, and in return, they experience abundance. Money, then, becomes an exchange of energy, a reflection of the value we provide. Prosperity consciousness also asks us to step into personal responsibility. Like a gardener who tends to their plants daily, we too must cultivate our consciousness, nurturing beliefs that support growth rather than limit it. When we embrace the mindset that we can and should thrive, we stop waiting for a change in circumstances and begin creating that change from within. From a young age, many of us are conditioned to view wealth as sinful or shallow, hearing messages from media, culture, or even well-meaning people around us that money is the root of all evil or the rich are greedy. But what if we saw money for what it truly is, a tool, a resource that amplifies our intentions? Just as fire can warm or burn, money can be used for good or for harm, depending on the consciousness of the person using it. By examining and shifting these subconscious beliefs, we start to free ourselves from scarcity thinking. This liberation allows us to view prosperity as our birthright, something we are entitled to by virtue of our being. And as we grow in consciousness, we find that abundance is not something external we chase but an internal state that reflects outward. The most challenging yet liberating truth about prosperity consciousness is that it requires us to take responsibility for our lives. Yes, many factors influence us, circumstances, upbringing, and external events, but the power to shift lies within. Like the letter writer who clung to his victim consciousness, we may find ourselves tempted to blame others or our situations. But every time we do, we give away a piece of our power. Instead, prosperity consciousness calls us to recognize that, regardless of where we are now, we have the choice to elevate our lives by aligning with principles of abundance, self-worth, and positive contribution. We start to see life as something happening for us rather than to us. Many are surprised when I say that it is, in fact, a sin to be poor. Not because lacking material wealth is inherently sinful, but because to be poor means to miss the mark of the life your Creator intended for you, a life filled with joy, health, meaningful connections, purpose, and yes, financial ease. When we realize that prosperity is not just about having things but about experiencing harmony in every part of our lives, we begin to understand its spiritual significance. It is about showing up fully, honoring the divine within us, and expressing it outwardly. When we prosper, we serve as beacons, showing others what's possible, lifting them up, and creating a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Thank you for walking this path of prosperity with me. To those of you who have stayed with the channel, watching, learning, and sharing these teachings, I am deeply grateful. Together, we are building a community rooted in the belief that prosperity is not limited to the few, it's available to all. This journey isn't about abandoning spirituality for material gain or sacrificing wealth for virtue. It's about aligning our inner world with our actions to create a life filled with meaning, joy, and abundance. Thank you for being part of this journey. May we all continue to grow, challenge our beliefs, and rise to the prosperity our Creator intended for us. Remember, prosperity is not something you pursue, it's something you embody. Here's to a life of abundance and joy for each of you, and remember, the universe makes the light available to you, but you must still turn on the light switch.